Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy, United People's TV, here with a nice quiet show here today. It's not as if we've got a Premier League game against Burnley tonight, but we're going to be speaking about Solskjaer being in talks with United, Carrick being in talks with United, both of them being in line potentially for the interim? No, Fletcher's the interim manager for tonight against Burnley. They're up for the caretaker role before the permanent manager then in the summer. We're going to run through all the news, the latest from the Athletic on Solskjaer and Carrick. We're also then going to be speaking about Fletcher's first press conference, pulling out all the big quotes. I ran through it I'll tell you what I did yesterday. I think my head was fried when I was doing my starting 11 for the Burnley game, because I went back and I watched it and I was like, you made some weird decisions there. Anyway, I'm going to redo that towards the end of the video, because I think it'll be slightly different to what I suggested. It's been a whirlwind 72 hours. It really, really has, and I did not expect it. I don't think any of you did either. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat. How are you all getting on? Let's get on with the show. We've got Steph, we've got Alex and Carl. Plenty of mods out, plenty of blues in the chat today. We've got Maddie, we've got JC, we've got some members too. We've got Sam Turner, we've got John Hammond, we've got Jason, we've got Matt, Teresa, Brendan, and some non-members. We've got, who have we got? Zanika Blade, we've got Sir Theophilus, Matt James, good morning to you, Matt, Sebastian, and Charles. And to JC, good morning to you, man. Oh, all of you. Right? Legends. Thank you very much for gifting memberships, man. Jeez. I know, I promise you I've not. Anyway, to Alex and to Maddie, we're going to be having conversations about what to do with the memberships. This has been on my to-do list for so long, and I've never been able to do it. I need you guys to help me, and we can move that forward. The members deserve more. I need to get more. But anyway, in the meantime, can we focus on all the news going, oh God, it's everywhere. I can't wait. Am I going to say it again? I'm going to say it again. Sorry, I'm going to say it again. I cannot wait for Manchester United to be in the news because we're top of the league, because we're winning all the pots again. At some point, it's going to happen. At some point, it's going to happen, right? Don't know when, but at some point it does happen. Anyway, shall we run through the news? Let's speak about Ahmad last night, okay? Another man of the match for Ivory Coast in the AFCON. Burkina Faso got a goal, got an assist. Lovely goal, lovely assist. Really good performance. And as I said, he got man of the match. That's man of the match last night. And man of the match against Cameroon. And man of the match against Mozambique. 3 games, 3 man of the match performances, 3 goals. I think it's 3 goals. He's on for player of the tournament. He really is having a good time out there. I can't wait to have him back. Give my boy back. I'm enjoying watching him playing. Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, you're kind of at the point now where teams are going to be knocked out, like decent teams. Cameroon are playing Morocco. So one of Mbuma, I forgot his name there, don't know why. His picture's right there. Well done, Sam. One of Mbuma or Mazraoui is coming back after that quarterfinal game. Big Morocco fan. I've always been a big Morocco fan. Viva la Morocco. It is in Morocco as well, so that'll be a big game for them. Fingers crossed, and get the job done. And I've always been a massive, massive fan of Mo Salah. Never said a bad word against him. No, I love him. Absolutely love him. Always a Viva Egypt. Anyway, Egypt's playing Ivory Coast in the quarterfinals, and Cameroon are playing Morocco. So there's a chance that Mbuma and Ahmad could be back. Well, fingers crossed they're going to be back for the City game anyway. But that's the state of play. Shall we move on to speak about everything else that's happening? Because my lunchtime video today, I think you can already guess what it's going to be on. I don't always do a lunchtime video ahead of a game. But I think it's fair to say that we've got a lot to talk about. Now, I did a video yesterday, kind of running through, trying to remove my opinion from it, really. And I always kind of find myself, I kind of get stuck between those, I suppose. In terms of the lunchtime videos we do, I like to just present the news, but Yeah, I've got an opinion. To be fair, it all comes across anyway. Solskjaer. I asked, when all the news came out yesterday, if you've missed it, okay, I don't think you have missed it. But United are in talks, or have had talks with Solskjaer over the caretaker role, and also are set for talks with Michael Carrick. Okay, that's been confirmed by Laurie Whitwell. So those conversations are happening. And I had a conversation with all of you yesterday. I did a poll, and we were having a chat about who would be the best caretaker for Manchester United until the end of the season. And I want to pose a different question here today. And full disclosure, this is me being greedy. I'm going to give you... Should I give you 4 choices? I'll give you 4 choices, right? Start poll. Choose one, right? Solskjaer as caretaker. No, just do Solskjaer and then Carrick. And then Solskjaer head coach. Solskjaer number 1, Carrick number 2. And then another one where Carrick is number 1 and Solskjaer is number 2. Now, I'm not actually including Fletcher in any of these, but Fletcher can also be included in both of these conversations. Do you think there is any way that Manchester United get both? And I've been trying to sort of, I suppose, put myself in the shoes of Solskjaer and put myself in the shoes of Carrick. Like, Mountain Peak down there, you say, what if none of the above? I'm not going to put that poll option, but I'm asking you, if it's none of the above, give me an alternative. And this is the thing I found really confusing among United fans, right? Let's focus on Solskjaer to begin with. Mate, if you... Honestly, the way I use Twitter now, I still call it Twitter. Screw Elon. I don't read my mentions. I specifically have my mentions column, it's deleted. Because it is an absolute goddamn cesspit. A while ago, you used to be able to have conversations, like, back and forth with people that you kind of like, not that you built friendships on Twitter, but like you have conversations with certain people. Now it's just porn bots, it's AI bots. You can't have a conversation, like a reasonable conversation does not exist on Twitter anymore. But I put out that I had support for Solskjaer, and absolutely would. And my mentions were just nuts. I don't know whether it's just like a different sort of United fan that exists on that platform. Or maybe just a different sort of football fan. I think it is. It's probably just like the football Twitter, which is sort of evolved, I suppose. Now, G-Man down there, you're saying, I'm pissed off we're back here. Now, that part I will agree with. It sucks balls that we are back here. That we are having this conversation. The same conversation that we had years ago. And that's down to a collection of bad mistakes. But now that we are here, people saying that Solskjaer should be dismissed because he was sacked and then he failed it. But it's like, mate, what do you think we've got? And I think a lot of people are just saying Carrick simply because it's new. There's an unknown quantity to it. Now, when it comes to speaking about, Solskjaer wasn't the coach when he was, United manager. It was Kieran McKenna who took all the training. It was Carrick who took all the training. I think those are fair enough concerns. But for people just to completely dismiss Solskjaer, I think you're off your rocker, really. Now, I'm going to go to the poll and see what you're saying here straight away before I go back down and have a chat. So we've got just under 700 votes are in so far, and 64% of you are saying Solskjaer in as number 1 and Carrick in as number 2. 20% of you are saying Solskjaer on his own, and 9% of you are saying Carrick number 1 and Solskjaer number 2. Now, the thing I would say about that is, again, like if I'm stepping back and I'm putting myself in the shoes of Solskjaer and the shoes of Carrick, mate, this dude will come in and be the dinner lady at Man United. I'm not sure you will find somebody who loves the club more than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I love him for it. Am I blinkered on Solskjaer? Like, 100%. 100%. Can I have a reasonable conversation about, to a certain degree, but man, my red-tinted specs are on, the hat's on, the Solskjaer vest is on. I love the bloke, man. He's quite literally my favourite ever United player. And you know what would be incredible? It could happen. Solskjaer comes in. And by the way, I'm only here... And this is a kicker as well. Some people are, I think, falsely suggesting that there is a possibility that Solskjaer comes in, does well for 3, 4, 5 months, and then gets a job on a permanent basis. It's not happening. Like, I know, look, people that try, oh yeah, United are going to get relegated. All right, cool. It might make you feel better. Like, you've got something great. United aren't ever getting relegated in the Premier League, all right? We might be crap, but we're not going to be, there's worse teams than us, fine. That's what I put that candidate. Solskjaer's not going to get the job on a full-time basis, no matter what he does. So we're just talking about somebody to come in between January and May, get us into the Champions League. That is your job. And I'm agreeing with you down there, like, by some margin. If I'm going to choose, I mean, I'll be honest, it's slim fucking pickings here. But if I'm going to choose a season to go back and relive as a United fan post-Fergie, probably going, 2020 under Solskjaer? Was that the Rashford 30-goal season? Was that the season with Pogba in it as well? I think that's the one we finished second. We played the best football post-Fergie under Ole. But moving on to the second, and this is what I mean, like putting them in their shoes. Like, I don't know why anybody's saying Roy Keane. It's just not ever going to happen. It's not even United aren't in talks with. No. But if I'm... No, it's again, I'm going back Almac. It is not a possibility he could become permanent. Stop just chatting shit. Any United fan just saying that, you're just trying to rile United fans up. Nip it in the bud. Stop being a dick. I'm just going to go straight here. I'm going straight at you. There is no chance it happens. It doesn't matter if he wins 15 games in a row. It's not happening. It is purely a caretaker role. So stop trying to wind fans up into thinking, oh, if Ole comes back in or if Carrick comes in, oh, there's a possibility that they... It's not happening. I put my house on that. Right? Moving on to Carrick. If I'm Michael Carrick and I'm having these conversations with Manchester United, I think there's only one way that I would take that. I don't know. The question I want to ask you down here. Do you think there is a possibility? Because I can see 61% of you, it's leading the poll right now. You would say Solskjaer number 1 and Carrick number 2. If you're Michael Carrick, would you do that again? Bearing in mind that's the position he was in a while ago. He's since gone to Middlesbrough, spent a couple of years being number 1 at Middlesbrough. Do you think Carrick would want to come back in and be the assistant for Solskjaer again? Because he's kind of developed and moved further forward as a manager in his career since that time. I think that's the question I would have. Not what we would want, but what would Carrick want? I just don't know whether I would see Carrick wanting to come back in and be a number 2 under Solskjaer. I think there's a possibility that Carrick could be number one and Solskjaer could be number two. Because I said, I think Solskjaer would do pretty much any role. But I don't know whether Carrick would do that. Like Alex is saying, why wouldn't he, Sam? Short-term basis. Yeah, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. It's January. I'm not really going to have a job until the summer anyway. So I may as well enjoy that. And then come the summertime, move on. So I might be wrong in that sense. And that's kind of a fair point. I'm going to see what you're saying down here. Yeah, because it's United and it's a temporary job. Can we have two number ones? That's not how it works. Hector saying I think he would. Ed saying no chance. Squirrel is saying, while I agree with you normally, Sam, it's board has shown they are stupid and nothing seems beyond them from turning the interim manager to become full-time. No, I think we've had precedent at this football club with that. And I just don't think it's a path that's going to be gone down. Look, hey, maybe I will be wrong, but I don't think I will be. There is no chance that either of these become the full-time manager. I've seen loads of people speaking about Luis Enrique. I'll have a little brief conversation about it a little bit later. Okay. Apparently, Ajax tried two number ones. I'm going to go down and read more of your chats. If they like Carrick so much, why have they never given him a chance after Ole Rangnick or Ten Hag? Carrick was Middlesbrough manager when Amram was appointed, I believe, mid-season. I suppose if Rob Edwards left in there, that was a good choice. You should have left there. Just the timings haven't been right, I don't think. Going back to the poll, I can see 57%. How many votes are in now? I'd say 1,200 votes are in. And 57% of you are saying Solskjaer 1 and Carrick 2. And by the way, can I just say this too? Have I got the photo up here? I think Fletcher's going to be involved in it, if I'm being completely honest too. You could fairly argue with me that, hold on, Sam, that's going to damage the under-18s because he was managing them well. And I would agree with you there. But I would prioritise Manchester United. Like, I'd encourage you to go and listen to the emergency pod that Talking to the Devils did. And just listen to the little segment from Andy Mitten on Darren Fletcher. Like, he interviewed him for a chapter for his book. And he was just, I didn't bloody realise that Fletcher had 2 sets of twins. Mate, 2 sets of twins. Nuts. But anyway, Andy goes into a fair amount of detail about how much of a details man Fletcher is, kind of how football obsessed he is, and like training and setups and formations, and he kind of lives and breathes football. He's an obsessive. So he would be very good from a backroom staff perspective, and kind of always will be. I'll ask you here. I won't do this as a poll question. Do you think there's a possibility that these three all stay at Manchester United in some capacity together? Whether it's, I don't know, Solskjaer number 1 and Carrick and Fletcher as the assistants. Whether it's Carrick number 1 and Solskjaer and Fletcher as the assistants. I don't know what the exact setup is. But do you think there's a possibility that all three of these are here in like a caretaker package until the end of the season? Is that too many spores? Too many cooks spoiling the broth? Majority of you are saying no there straight away, but some of you are saying yes. Look, but Darren, I think I'll be totally honest. Like you're saying, with 3 of these, it's just going to be Vibes FC. I think the only one it maybe wouldn't be Vibes FC is Michael Carrick. It really is a shit situation that we're back here again. I'm going back to what was said earlier. But we are here again. It is the middle of the season. We have sacked another manager. We're now waiting. And by the way, and I will stand by that. Hey, look, Ineos have got plenty of decisions wrong. And there will be... Can I quickly say this to everybody who keeps asking me about Ineos videos and Ratcliffe videos and this and that? I'm going to do those videos and I'm going to do them properly, because these sorts of videos, look, you know, something I would love to do, and I've never been given the opportunity because Brent blocked it for me. I was going to work with the club, but they pulled out of it because they don't want to work with anybody, because he's poisoned the image of anybody who creates United content. Cheers, you prick. Yeah, I think you can start to understand why I've got a lot of dislike for that bloke now. But these sorts of videos, when it comes to Jim Ratcliffe, I'm not just going to be sitting here shouting Glinios and doing this and being some performative clown. I'm going to do some actual investigative journalism. I'm going to pull up receipts. I'm going to pull up quotes. I'm going to pull up things that were said a long time ago. I'm going to do an investigative piece into Ratcliffe, what he said and what he hasn't done, the mistakes that he has made, because I'm very aware that this video could be watched by someone at the club. So I want to make sure that everything I say is backed up, is correct, is factual. And that's why it's going to take me a little bit of time to get these videos out. But once that video is out, it will be watertight, and it will be something that I think it needs to be said. A lot needs to be said, but I need to make sure I do it correct. That's why it might take a little bit longer, but I'm just wanting to explain that to you. But yeah, right. If you missed the news, Solskjaer's in talks. Carrick's having talks, I'm guessing today. I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to be waiting long to find out. Right? Right, I'll ask you in the comments. When do you think we know by? I think we probably know by tomorrow. Whether it's Solskjaer, whether it's Carrick, whether it's Fletcher, whether it's a collection of all three, and whatever the setup is. To end the poll, go back here, and we've got 1,500 votes are in, and you're saying 54% of you would like to see Solskjaer number 1 and Carrick number 2. So you've chosen. Let's see who United choose. I'm going to do one more poll here quickly, right? One more poll. Okay. Do you think United get Champions League football? Yes or no? Right. I'm going to pop that in the chat. We are, I think, 3 points off. We'll speak about Fletcher next. We'll speak about the Burnley game as well. Of course, we're playing Burnley tonight. And it's a Premier League game. It's not as if it's a Premier League game, man. We're 3 points off the Champions League spots. We've got a good squad. And if you think about times when previous interim managers have come in, you've got Carrick, who came in after Solskjaer went. And you got Solskjaer, who came in after Mourinho went. When Solskjaer came in, would you say is that the lowest that the club has felt? I wouldn't say it was we've been lower. Well, literally, we've been lower than under Mourinho. But at the end of Mourinho, it felt like I felt so disconnected from Manchester United because of like Mourinho was and like the arguments and the factions, and it's just like there's so much ugliness that came with the club that's what made Solskjaer so good, because it probably was Vibes FC. And that Cardiff game was just like a release for everybody. 5-0, my God, we're back. And that 3 months. Ooh. But then when Carrick came in as well after Solskjaer, that was a bit of a low point. He had to pick those players up. I think the point I'm trying to make here is I don't think we need... I suppose there will be a new manager bounce. I spoke about that in my pre-match press conference. I think it's going to be tough against Burnley away, by the way. Like, in terms of games you can get a post, like a new manager bounce, it's like the worst team you can play. But this squad feels largely it is good. And we know where the problems are in midfield, right? I think this team is more than capable of getting a Champions League spot this season in the context of the rest of the Premier League. I really do. I don't need to explain to you like how up and down everybody is every single week. There's going to be drop points left, right, and centre. I'm going to check the poll out and see what you're saying, right? 600 votes are in. 58% of you think we will get Champions League football. And by the way, Champions League football is likely a top 5 finish. It was last season. Kind of depends on what happens with the coefficient. But I'm pretty sure that finishing 5th is Champions League football. Someone down there saying we're in the position we are because other teams have struggled. Dude, it's not because we played at that level. It's exactly because we played at that level. That's why we are where we are. That is the league this season. The league is not like 6, 7, 8 teams who are just like crew, like smashing everybody. The league is one team at the top. Actually, to be fair, I'm going to include City in that as well. No, Villa have been pretty decent. Villa, what? To be fair, they won 9 in a row. 10 in a row in all competitions. The majority of between 4th and 9th, they're all stumbling together. It's both, right? United have an opportunity, without a shadow of a doubt. That's why we pulled the trigger on getting rid of Amorim, because the club felt that the season wasn't over. I actually think we can get Champions League football. Call me foolish. Ask me that question again at the end of February after we played City and then Arsenal away in back-to-back games. Because that may well be a period where my enthusiasm dips quite a lot. Or I actually think we can get in there. And you're saying Ollie needs to bring a bit of bastard this time. I don't think Ollie's got a bastard bone in his body, dude. I really don't. Maybe that's why somebody alongside him could do that for him. But let's speak about what's actually happening tonight. Because in the short term, we've got a Premier League game tonight against Burnley. Right? Let's run through Darren Fletcher's press conference. Then I'll run through the starting 11 and the changes that I would make to the starting 11 I did last night. What on earth am I talking about? I don't know. Might be waffling a little bit. I think United can, I wouldn't say easily, get Champions League football this season. But anybody who's suggesting that Champions League football is absolutely impossible, well, you're lying. We're 3 points off it. Everyone else is stumbling. Whoever can actually, this is the thing, whoever can actually put a string of results together can be any team. Might be Sunderland. I don't think it will be Sunderland. Right, let me go down here and make sure I didn't miss any super chats before we head on to speak about Fletcher. All right. Mountain saying West Ham fans are boycotting the home games. The United fans cannot even do that. Dude, get in the bin, man. Don't talk to me about boycotting games. If you do that, unfortunately, you're just showing your ignorance. And how bloody impossible it is for a fan base as massive and global as Manchester United. You go to Old Trafford, you speak to 100 fans. Oh, I'm here for my first game. I'm here. I've flown over from Malaysia. I've done this. You go to West Ham. Yeah, I'm from London. 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 They're local fan. West Ham does not have the global fan base that Manchester United does. It is why it is so hard, the concept. I don't know why people just don't understand that. And I'll be honest, it's pure ignorance. And that's it. I will stand for United fans in that sense. Rex, you're saying my mates don't want Solskjaer. For me, the league player happiness and motivation are the most important. Winning games of football is most important, dude. And maybe player happiness is a big part of that. I don't think the players have looked unhappy this season. System's been shit, though. Let's be honest. Vibes or misery, I know which one I'd take. Not really sure why those are the two options. Matthew Lim. Ole is always coming in for good vibes after a Portuguese being sacked. Player FC is now gone with better support. Rashford will return? Player FC? Are we switching to these conversations again? Really? No, well, I'm not speaking about Rashford. Rashford time, unfortunately, is gone. Right. Shall we? Let's speak about Fletcher. This is a little clip from his first press conference, and maybe only press conference, as Manchester United head coach.
I don't
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a bit loud.
like to make any major decisions or things without speaking to Sir Alex, and that's something I've done since I've been at the club and since I've left the club. And everything I do, I've got a really good relationship with Sir Alex, so it's probably the first person that phoned actually, so I wanted to speak to him first. And ultimately to get his blessing, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he deserves that respect. I wanted to run it by him what he thought, and he was supportive of it, and he echoed my thoughts, which I've always said. It's your job to do the best for Manchester United. When you're an employee of the club, it's your job to do your best for Manchester United. And it's something that, it's amazing when he says something that I try and live and believe every day. So it was comforting for me for him to say that.
Why'd you go Scottish, Sam? It just came out. But Fletcher, he's out there. He's speaking with Fergie. I'm not getting caught up in any nostalgia FC this time. I've had my nostalgia runs, right, with Solskjaer before, or with Root coming in for a couple of games, or Carrick coming in for a couple of games. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's all good fun. I suppose it's cool to hear about the respect between Fergie and Fletcher, but with the greatest of respect to Fergie, I don't really want to hear his name right now. I know that sounds like a really horrible thing to say, but I just want to look forward, man. It's kind of a big problem. This football club's past is so successful, it sucks it down a little bit. Hence why the voices... something he actually spoke quite well on, I thought, was he was asked about, do you think the former players and pundits and all of us here as, journalists, that we put extra pressure on? And he was basically saying, I'll be honest, I think the former players are allowed to have their opinions. They were very successful at the club. And he's like, I like listening to them. They're quite engaging. So kind of a different point of view in that sense. I agree with lots of what everyone's saying in the chat. I think he did speak quite well. I don't think it was ever going to be an issue that Fletcher held himself well in the press conference. And he certainly did. And he spoke about Ruben Amorim as well. Oh, wrong one. Just said, look, he's had it. Something I wanted to speak about. He's basically saying that I had a really good relationship with Ruben Amorim. I haven't got a bad word to say against him. I think in the goodness of time, I'm not even in the goodness of time. If you rewind, I can't bloody remember exactly, but if you rewind post Mourinho, how many goodwill stories did you hear come out? Well, not too many. I honestly think you're just going to hear... I don't think it's going to be forced out, but I think anybody who's going to get asked about their relationship with Ruben Amorim, it's just going to be good stories. I think Amorim had a lot of decent relationships with a lot of United members of staff, a lot of United players. Not perfect with everybody. The Kobbie Mainoo situation, I don't think was down to professionalism. It was down to Ruben's focus, single-minded focus on his system, and that's where Kobbie fell by the wayside. But you saw it with all the players coming out saying, thanks, boss, or thanks, mister, about Amorim leaving. And Fletcher there just saying, look, I've got a lot of time for him. And also saying, gave my son his debut. Right? Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that as well, saying that the players were... I wouldn't say the players were angry that Amorim was sacked. But the way that we played against... if you imagine how we played against Leeds, right? We could have easily got bowled over in that game. But the way that team was together and the way that how aggressive we played in that game actually gave us a fighting chance. We didn't have enough quality in the final third. That's why we didn't get the result that we wanted. But those players were still playing for, there was no, down tools or anything. No morale through the floor. I don't know. I think it's quite nice. So I thought I'd raise that. Some of you sent a super chat. Then I'll have this little conversation about. Actually, that's what Fletcher said about speaking with the players. He's like, it's my first day as United manager, and I've realised that you can't do everything that you want to do because I had all this stuff planned out, and I didn't get to do anything because I kind of got dragged doing all these different things. Manny, you're saying United are not making European competitions this season? Don't be too cheerful, mate. Not now that we know the club will not bring in midfielders, and the squad as it stands today is not good enough. That midfield, if you play 3 in midfield, I think you can make up for downfalls in quality of the players by putting more in there. A midfield 3 will be significantly better than a midfield 2. It just will be. Because you've got more bodies, you have to cover less ground. It's easier to play. I disagree. I think this squad has enough to get in. I'll be honest, we'd probably sneak in the Champions League. We won't run in there, but I think we have enough to get one of those spots compared to what else. I can repeat this conversation a million times if you want. Captain T1 is saying, I will say Darren Fletcher spoke really well. Had to watch it twice. I'll tell you what I watched as well. Has anybody watched the interview that he did with Sky Sports? Mate, who sorted the volumes on that interview? It was like, Darren, you played with the under 18s this season. It's like, I don't want to ask too many questions. I was like, I can't even hear you, mate. I don't know why. Go and have a listen. It's the interview he did with this lad on Sky Sports. It's the most gentle interview I've ever heard in the world. It's like he was trying to give him a massage. But Dan Fletcher. Should we speak about the game tonight? Let me go and have a look at the chat, see what you're saying first. Even with 3 in midfield, that is nowhere near good enough. Nah, I'm not saying it is. But I'm saying this squad, I think there's enough to get in the top 5. I'll stand by that. Saw that against Newcastle, says Jason. I think you saw it against Villa as well. Right? Casemiro and Manu and Bruno in the middle. Yeah, maybe. I mean, possibly. We'll speak about Bruno, actually. We'll speak about Manu as well. Now, I want to have a little bit on this, right? Just a little 1 or 2 minute chat. Luis Campos, PSG sporting director, has come out and said it's 100% false, by the way. Kel's surprised. I don't know why a German newspaper would have this story first about a Spanish manager leaving a French club. Anyway, if Luis Enrique is available, boop, numero uno. Of course he'd be top of the list. I mean, that's not even a question, really. All the other managers, was it Iraola, Glasner, even bloody Eddie Howe was getting thrown in there. Who else? Poch. Yeah, there's a long old list. I think this is pure guff. And even if it isn't guff, I would probably think a knock on the door from City gives us no chance. Just in the condition of where the two clubs are. Could you imagine Luis Enrique's there and just Jim Ratcliffe's just peeping over his shoulder going, Luis, yeah, what, you won 4? What, you won a quadruple at PSG? I mean, that's nice. I'm a billionaire. So I think you should probably play Mbeumo at wing-back. Just saying. Just throwing that in there. That's it. Right, have a good day. Southgate. Yeah, don't forget about the Southgate links. Anyway, I think, truth be told, I think Luis Enrique is going to be a little bit of a pipe dream. But if there was any sniff, I think the United should absolutely explore that. I don't think there will be, though. Right. Should we speak about the game tonight? Let's get one more poll in. We've had 2 today. Let's get 3. Yeah, I know. Look, Rob, you can come up. That's United's. Oh, no, can I not? Am I banned from doing any more polls? I'm banned on my own channel from doing any more polls. You must have like a limit. I didn't know that. So we can't do a poll for today. Yeah, I know that the United challenge is bigger and better than anywhere else. That's the reason that Cunha joined. That's the reason that Mbeumo joined. It feels like that's probably the biggest driver that we've got. But anyway, Burnley, right? What do you expect to happen tonight? Let me know in the chat. I'll run through the team news, first of all, like I did in the preview yesterday. But Bruno and Mason, both going to be back into the squad. Don't know whether they're going to be fit to start. No idea. But both available and in contention. That's good. Squad's improved. Cobby also trained on Tuesday, which really is not going to help the conspiracy theorists. And that's the timings of all of that, man. Mainu getting an injury, like the day before Bruno gets a hamstring injury, is like man, that is unlucky. And then Cobby returning to grass training the day after Amrim has been sacked. Again, timing. Like, really unfortunate timing. Well, not actually the opposite. It's unfortunate timing about the injury before Bruno's injury, and then all of a sudden he's back training on grass. Anyway, I think he did have an injury. But Cobby back on grass, I don't imagine you'll see him in the squad. As I said, he's been in the squad. He's trained. Now I want to run through this team because this was the starting 11 that I did yesterday. And I think my head was a bit fried, if I'm honest. Because I've gotten so used, right, to this. Where is it? Where's the right one? I've gotten so used to seeing Bruno in a deeper central midfield position that I just put him there without even really thinking about it. Ain't no way he's playing there. If he plays. No, he's not playing there either. I think it would be that. Because I was really struggling when I was making the team. I was thinking, well, who's going to play as like the left inside forward? I was like, you're going to put Xerxes there? You're going to put, I don't know who you're going to put there. In reality, you're probably going to be playing, like, it's going to be like a 4-2-3-1 / a 4-3-3. Because, like, look, oh, it's a 4-3-3. Oh, it's a 4-2-3-1. Oh, it's 4-3-3. Oh, it's 4-2-3-1. So, like, it's just going to be that number 10 can just move between the two. So, Bruno in the number 10. I don't know whether Bruno's fit or not, though. But maybe Bruno can play there. Maybe Mainu can play there. Or maybe even Xerxes could play there. There's a connector. I don't quite know. But I think that's probably more likely. I nearly got the team right, but not quite. But this game here tonight, peeps. Mate, Burnley are going to properly... It is going to be a peak Sean Dyche style Burnley performance tonight. Turf Moor, Wednesday night, freezing conditions. They're going to try and lump it long. They're going to try and hold on for the set pieces. And if they sneak one and Burnley go 1-0 up, it is not going to be an enjoyable game. That's why I said in my preview, I was saying, like, I don't expect a full manager bounce tonight. I don't expect, you know, Solskjaer one's going to stand out. Post Mourinho, play Cardiff away, boom, 5-0. I'm not expecting that sort of game. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we do see that. But I don't think that Burnley's setup would allow that because there won't be much space. It's going to be congested. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be deep. But I think we will see a 4-at-the-back system. I think we will see 2 in midfield. 3 in midfield, it depends on how deep that number 10 drops. But it's going to be quite a traditional shape that we play there tonight. And I think everyone's going to enjoy that part of it. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. JC saying, get the wagons in a circle, people. It's everyone against us. Let's do this one more time. Hey, look, man. I wish United had motivators like you are in this community, man. You gifted another 20. You're just a ledge. Thank you so much for all the contributions that you've given to us, man, because you're enabling me to keep building this team and hopefully improving the channel and improving the content that we are doing. And I really do hope you think that. Like, I know it's been rough these last few months, people. I've even had to put a pause on the United People's TV productions because there just wasn't an appetite for it. We couldn't really afford to spend the amount of money and time that we do on those videos because everyone was just switched off. And I suppose that's a shift that's changed the trajectory of the second half of this season. Feels very different. I wouldn't say the trajectory, but the energy, I would say. And now the second half of this season, now that Amram's gone and we're heading towards a caretaker manager. Yeah, things feel different. But thank you very much, JC, and to everyone else. I think that's probably more likely what we see tonight. If Bruno's fit, Bruno will go in as a number 10. If Bruno's not fit, maybe Mason Mount. I think probably, given that Mason Mount's injury, we don't even know what Mason Mount's injury was. I think it was just a precaution. He could go in as a number 10. Or Xerxes. He could go in as a number 10. Either way, I think we'll see one of them. Xerxes, Mount, or Bruno play in that role. What's your prediction for tonight? Let me know in the chat. My prediction was 2-1 to United. I'm just fully expecting peak Burnley tonight. That's the way they've been playing this. I know that Wolves, mate, that Wolves performance when we played them away, that's one of the worst performances I've seen from a Premier League team. And then they were much better against us, and we allowed them to be better. And they were obviously better against Arsenal and better against Liverpool. But this Burnley team, they're playing like bad championship football, is probably what I would describe. I mean, it worked for them last year. They had James Trafford. They were keeping clean sheets left, right, and centre, setting records. They don't score many goals. They're going to sit in a proper back five. A 5-4-1. You know, the sort of setup that you do in the last, 10, 15 minutes of a game when you're protecting a 1-0 lead. That's what Burnley are going to do from the first minute. Oh, the other poll's still running. Oh, yeah. That's why I couldn't do it. My head's fried. Been a hell of a couple of days. But 1,600 votes are in. And 60% of you are saying that you think United can get Champions League football. And I'm with the 60%. Win tonight. Doesn't take us towards Champions League football, but set just on a right path because our next two bloody Premier League games after this one, we've got to win this one tonight, really. Our next two games are City and Arsenal. Stinky. Let me see what you're saying down here in terms of your predictions. We've got John saying 1-0 or 2-1 win. 2-1 to United, says Cagozzo. 2-0, 3-0, says Mamo and Sean. 1-0 says SAS. 2-1 says Maddie. 2-0 says Carl. I want a clean sheet, says Rob. 2-0. 5-0, I want a goal fest. Hey, look, we all want a goal fest. It's just I don't think a goal fest is going to be possible here tonight. But I very much hope I'm wrong. Now, I want to finish on two notes. One, they're both quite exciting, but this one, not really related to the game. I thought this could be pretty cool, and this could be a conversation that we have going into the Brighton game. JJ Gabriel was training with the first team this week. Now, JJ Gabriel is not eligible to play in the Premier League, but he's eligible to play in the FA Cup. So I think there's a possibility maybe you might see JJ Gabriel in the matchday squad for Brighton. Watch this space. Let's see what happens after the game. I thought I'd mention that. But I want to end this video by, I think I ended the match preview as well by saying this. Darren Fletcher, man, enjoy it. Type it in the chat. Is he wearing a suit or is he wearing a tracksuit? You know the answer to that. Darren Fletcher's bopping out. Full club suit? Is that a bit much? Might be a bit much to do a full club suit. It's not a cup final. But he's going suited and booted. Tie right to the top. Top button. Crisp, clean, white shirt. Ooh. He's going suited. 100%. Enjoy it. Enjoy walking out of Turf Moor as Manchester United manager. And you know what I really hope? Like, even regardless of what happens here, I hope he is in charge of United against Brighton, because I want him to be able to walk out at Old Trafford as Manchester United manager, head coach, whatever you want. For even if it's only for one game, I'd like Fletcher to have that. So like, if we're getting Solskjaer in or we're getting Carrick in or a combination of both, whatever it may be, do it after the Brighton game. Let him do that. Most of you are saying suit. Some of you, there's no chance he wears a tracksuit. No chance, surely. Although, you know, he's been a coach a lot. Oh, it's confusing. I'll put money on a suit. We'll find out. Yeah, that's it for tonight. To end with the main story for today, And hey, look, I imagine there's probably going to be a breaking story that comes at some point before the end of the week, and that we're going to go live with an extra video after the announcement of who is going to be our caretaker manager until the end of the season. If I had to choose, I think I would go for Solskjaer, number one, and Carrick as well. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't know whether Carrick at this point in his career will be completely enthused by the idea of going back to the same assistant role that he did a few years ago. But at the same time, I think a lot of you have pointed this out, it's midway through the season. It's only a short-term role. You're not going to be doing anything until the summer anyway. So maybe in that sense, Carrick will take the opportunity and see it as an advantage. We'll find out. It's been a hell of a few days. Lunchtime video today is going to be on those two, and kind of more of my opinion rather than asking you, ladies and gents, what your opinions were. Then match reaction tonight. Then we're back here live tomorrow. Never a dull moment as Manchester United fans. That's one way to describe it. Take it easy, everyone.